Hey everyone, and welcome to my second episode of Sunday Science. So I have just got back from FitFest, which was an amazing weekend. Loads of different types of exercise, did yoga, calisthenics, some like aerial stuff. But I was moving pretty much all the time, and I felt really good as a result. Like my sleep was a lot better, I felt really calm and happy, and it kind of made me think that's probably what our bodies are intended to do. I think I did like 7 hours yesterday. And if you think like hunter-gatherer society, we probably would have been on our feet moving for most of the day. And if you contrast that to kind of modern work life where people can be sat at their desk for maybe 8 hours in a day, it's not ideal. And so this topic is going to be particularly relevant for anyone who is a desk worker or who is mostly sedentary and is kind of super driven or has to be really career focused and thinks, I'll get round to my physical health. Well, the thing is, it's not just your body that's suffering, it's also going to be your performance, because our brain health and our brain sort of abilities are actually improved by movement. So let's think about what that connection is. I'm going to look at 7 reasons why movement helps our brain. So if you're putting off working out because you're like, I don't care how I look, or I'm not bothered about my cardio endurance, you still do need to be bothered because your work is going to suffer. And if that's the thing that matters to you, then you need to prioritize movement too. The first thing is about our brain's neuroplasticity. So that's basically its ability to adapt, to rewire itself, to change. So anything where you're trying to learn something new. And exercise promotes or increases our brain's neuroplasticity. So it's going to improve the speed of our learning, how sharp we think, and whether or not we can problem solve. The second thing is about something our brain produces called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And it's essentially like fertilizer for our brain cells. So it's really important for keeping the existing brain neurons alive and encouraging the growth of new ones. And it particularly encourages the growth in an area of our brain called the hippocampus. And that's key because that's where we store a lot of our memory and the part of our brain that is responsible for learning. The third thing is that cardio exercise specifically sends more oxygen and nutrients to our brain, and that boosts obviously focus, mental clarity, and how sharp our thinking is. The fourth thing is about inflammation and oxidative stress, and they have been linked to diseases like Alzheimer's. Now, I'm not saying that if you move enough, you can mean that you're never going to get those kind of degenerative diseases. That's maybe not the case. They're still kind of researching and trying to understand them. But what I can say is that regular physical activity enhances your body's antioxidant defenses. So you are reducing stress on the brain cells and you're protecting the neurons you've got from damage. Fifth, the number of our neurons in our brain isn't actually fixed. It's not like we're born and we have a set amount. Our brain is always producing new ones through a process called neurogenesis. And what triggers that process is physical activity. So again, it always comes down to the same thing. Then we need to think about sleep. Sleep quality is linked with exercise. Research has suggested that if we exercise, our sleep improves. And sleep is so important for our brain health because it's when our brain can consolidate and organize memories. So if you feel like you've had a really bad night's sleep and you're like, I'm really foggy, it's not just kind of hearsay or kind of what you think you should feel. It is actually that your thoughts are maybe still jumbled because your brain hasn't had that opportunity to organize them. And then the final one is that studies have suggested that people who exercise more have better body image satisfaction. And that's not just about how other people perceive you, it's about your self-confidence. And that self-confidence is going to feed into everything. So at work, relationships, your mindset, when we're more confident, we do tend to do better. And that confidence can come from exercise, or at least exercise can help it. Okay, so I think I've given you 7 pretty good reasons why exercise is important for the brain. But what if you're thinking, great, but I just don't have time. You know, clients are waiting. Well, I'm not saying you have to join a gym. I'm not saying you have to devote hours a day. Okay, what matters is smart, consistent movement. And the science backs a kind of fourfold approach. So the first one is about cardio work. So we want to do around 150 minutes a week of moderate cardio. So that's cycling, swimming, even brisk walking. You don't even have to break into a run or any kind of jog, just a brisk, like focused walk rather than a kind of stroll. If that sounds like too much, you don't have to do it kind of in big blocks. Ideally, 30-minute sessions is the most effective, but if you did 2 10-minute sessions every day, you're almost at that 150 target, and that is super achievable. That could come from just taking one work call and walking instead of sitting at your desk with it. It could come from popping out to get lunch rather than going to the canteen, you know, a little bit of a journey for lunch. Or it could be cycling to the station rather than jumping in the car. You know, 2 10 minutes a day, I think we probably can all do, at least most days. Then the second one is strength training. And again, I'm not saying you need to go make best friends with a barbell in a gym, okay? You just need to remind your muscles that they're still there and that strength matters. You know, it could be a 10 to 15 minute session of body weight work at home. So that's like press ups, squats, lunges. Okay, or you could maybe invest in one kettlebell and do like a 10-minute beginner kettlebell flow. It's not that I'm asking for a huge time or money investment. There are kind of easy ways to just build a little bit of resistance training into your life. And the final one, and one that I'm actually going to do another video about because it's really important, is isometric holds. So there's been a lot of research about these recently because they're actually more effective than cardio in terms of lowering blood pressure, which is fantastic because lower blood pressure means you're getting better blood flow to your brain. And isometric holds are not too sweaty and they don't take too long. So an isometric hold is something like a wall sit, a plank, a lunge hold. You could do 30 seconds while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or while you're asking the kids to find their shoes for the 3rd time. You know, things that can just fit into your day without you really noticing. And then the final one is if you are a desk worker and you are sat for a long period, trying to take 1 minute every hour to do something movement related. So literally just stretching at your desk, or instead of filling up your water bottle, having a cup and keeping walking to the water cooler can make a big difference just to prevent everything from going to sleep. So hopefully that's kind of an overview on why you need to exercise for your brain and something realistic you could do. And we need to always keep in mind that although a lot of us now work with computers, maybe we even work with AI, we are not robots. We're human and we were designed to move. And whatever we do today is going to either build or drain our mental clarity for tomorrow. You don't need to move your body to get a 6-pack. You need to move it for a sharper, longer lasting mind. So if that's resonated with you, leave me a comment if you would like a kind of 10-minute resistance training, strength type thing that you can do from home. Share it with someone else you know who overworks and doesn't make any time for their body. Next week, we are going to look at something that I learned actually about this weekend. And it's whether or not your muscles are really as tight as you think, or whether actually it's angry nerves that's causing that sensation. So hopefully another super interesting topic to dive into.